Okay, thank you.
So let me first introduce you, sir, then we can start. So a very good afternoon to all of you. We have with us eminent resource person, Dr. D. Venkata Srinivas Kumar, who is an assistant professor at School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad. Let me give a brief introduction about him. Dr. Srinivas Kumar have done his BTech from Mechanical Engineering from Nagarjuna University and MBA from Marketing from Andhra University and PhD from Hyderabad Central University. He have done many FDPs at IIM Indore and other eminent universities and schools. His area of interest is consumer experience management, social media marketing, customer relationship management, and business analytics. Dr. Srinivas have published national and international journals in eminent international publications. Few of the papers are Impact on ICTs on Rural Livelihood, Employment and Employability of Higher Education Graduates in India, and he has recognized and received awards from eminent and international bodies. Few of them are Excellence Award for Performance while working as a marketing executive at NIIT Network Center, Vijayawada. Best Teacher Award while working at Penny Kanti Institute of Management, Hyderabad. Received the Best Research Paper Award for Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. So, and with his vast experience and expertise in the field of digital media and digital marketing. So today's sir is going to have two sessions. So today's session is with digital marketing and introduction. Now, on behalf of the SBM University, we welcome you, sir. It is over to you, please, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Das. And I believe that there are also some eminent faculty for a part of this program, right?
Yes, sir. I just want to tell that many eminent professors were also participating in this event. Overall, we have 45 students registered for this program. 50% were students, and some are practitioners, and some are eminent retired managers, chief managers, and eminent professors from eminent universities, XLRI and IIM also. So I hope it will be a great session.
So let me congratulate you for the entire what I call team as well as your university for taking this initiative to conduct this particular certificate program, right? So today my task is basically related to giving you an introduction related to digital marketing, right?
Yes.
Before I actually get into my presentation, right, to those who are attending this, the seniors, right, please treat this as a session where I'm sharing whatever I know about digital marketing. Don't treat this as a class, but as far as the students are concerned, right, I expect you to be very attentive and also be participative, right, because this is the emerging area, right, one of the emerging areas where the future is going to be as far as marketing is concerned. In fact, when I have studied, we could not even think of what I call having access of internet to everyone. That was the kind of scenario that was there. And people really bothered, people really wondered whether internet is going to be a reality, whether internet-based transactions are going to be a reality. These were the kinds of scenarios that were there. But today, if you really look at the kind of environment in which we are living, in the absence of this communication technologies, right, our days doesn't start. In fact, most of us, the first thing that we do after waking up is not brushing our teeth, but rather checking our phones, right? Maybe it could be related to either the formal mails that we receive from our organizations or maybe our private mails that are there. But interesting thing is today, internet has become a part of life, whether we like it or not, right? So this is the backdrop with which I would like to take you through the journey into the introduction related to digital marketing, right? Just give me a second. Let me share my screen. Okay. Any one of you please respond. Are you able to see the PowerPoint slide?
Yes, we are able to see it.
Thank you. Okay. I keep on asking this because early in the what you call during the days where we were getting introduced to working with the Zoom or Google Meet, there used to be scenarios where I used to teach for some time, then realize that either my voice is not there for the students or the connection. So I keep on checking this on and off. Thank you for answering my query. Right. Hope both the audio and video both are good. So let us take our first steps towards digital marketing. Right. In fact, these are the first steps of our first journey towards digital marketing. So if you look at the kind of scenario in which we are living for the past 1.5 to 2 years, in fact, you can see even we have put a what you call this mask for even Mona Lisa also for the fear of COVID, right? So suddenly classes became online, meetings became online. Of course, there used to be some part of meetings, especially in the IT sector, that used to occur online. But today, if you look at the education scenario, right, right from the KG students to the PG students, we are using different types of interfaces because unfortunately we could not directly get in touch with each other. In fact, today the very discussion that we are having is using the medium of what you call Google Meet, right, as the tool that is there. And of course, internet is the backbone. But even before this, if you look at not only the changes that are there because of COVID, but even before COVID, if you look at, there were lots of changes, especially in the context of the information technology playing a major role across every domain, almost every domain. But since we are looking at the business area or the management area, we'll be focusing in terms of what is the impact that is created by these technologies in the conduct of business, specifically with respect to marketing, right? That is going to be our agenda for today in terms of looking at what it means by digital marketing. But before that, let us look at an interesting case, right? Of course, this is not related to the Indian scenario. Later, I will take you to the Indian scenario that is there. Now, there was this article in the famous New York Times on women prisoners, right? So, women inmates, why the male model doesn't work. So, there was a very big article related to the women inmates in jails. And then they were discussing a lot in terms of why the kind of a model that is generally used in prisons, which are basically designed for males, doesn't work for females. Now, you might be wondering what has this to do with the digital marketing, but let us actually look at, go to this link and let me actually show you. Hope you are able to see my, what do you call, browser.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, please observe very carefully. You have the New York Times. Very clearly, it says it's a paid post. Women inmates, why the male model doesn't work. And then you please carefully see, this is an animated picture. Can you see the line moving as I'm moving my, what do you call, cursor? Can you see the line moving? Right? So
Yes, sir.
there is a very big article that is there. So over the past 3 decades, the number of women serving time in American prisons has increased more than 8-fold. And then there is a, what do you call, a picture of a woman, especially as far as the face is concerned. Then they talk about 75% or more of female inmates have suffered either because of a physical or sexual abuse in their lifetime, right? So then there is one more sentence saying that when you incarcerate a woman, you're actually incarcerating her whole family. So another perspective that is given when you are looking at women, and again, another animated picture is there here. So if you look at what has this to do with digital marketing, there is a lot to do with the digital marketing as far as this particular context is concerned, because there are many things that are discussed related to how women spend their lives in their jails that are there, right? But as we go further, right, towards the end of the article also, other things are there. But you could have seen there is also something like again in Orange, right? Season 2 now streaming. Orange is the new black. Season 2 is what it is saying. And of course, if you carefully look at the top portion of this particular page, towards the left, you can see a small Netflix. Of course, not very big, but still Netflix is there. Can you see this? Netflix, I'm place my cursor to the left of the screen, right? Just above this heading called as women inmates. Netflix is there. So this is one example where I'm actually referring to what it means by digital marketing, because we are not just looking at a picture or a banner which is put and you put an advertisement and then say that this is digital marketing. There is more to digital marketing, right? So let us go back to our scenario. So this is where I have been talking about, or in fact, I've taken you to that particular website and then discussed about this article on women, right? Women inmates, how their life is going to be changed, how their families are going to be affected, what happens to women inside the jails, right? These are the things that are done. But actually, if you see, this particular article was commissioned by Netflix. If you look at Netflix, of the OTT channel, thanks to COVID-19, today OTT channels have become popular. Not that they are not there earlier, they were there earlier, but today most of us know about the Netflix, Amazon Prime, and the other channels, Disney Hotstar, the other OTT channels that are there. So this particular article was commissioned by Netflix to promote the second season of its hit series, Orange is the New Black. So here there is this serial called as Orange is the New Black, right? And in order to promote this, basically they have basically given this task to New York Times to promote this by actually reflecting the lives of women inmates in jails. So if you look at the popularity of this particular serial and also the popularity of this particular post, this became one of the most exciting marketing initiatives because it became a super duper success, right? It is a paid post. It's a paid post. So if you go back to let's say the what do you call web page, clearly you can see after New York Times, this is a paid post. They have very clearly mentioned that this is a paid post. Means someone has sponsored this particular post. The content was paid for by Netflix and created by T Brand Studio, blah blah blah, whatever is there, right? The brand marketing aim of the New York Times, and then arm of the New York Times. The news and editorial staffs of the New York Times had no role in this particular post creation. Very clearly, it is also mentioned that it's a paid post, which is sponsored by Netflix. So coming back to our scenario where we have stopped this, if you go further, right, behind the scenes that is there, this paid post, because very clearly it is mentioned that it's a paid post. You could not mistake it for editorial content, not with the big Netflix logo. It is there, and they have also mentioned this. Now this particular article is filled with graphics, videos, images, text. Everything is there. In fact, video is also there, but I did not play it. If you look at the serial, of course, I wanted to take you to the Netflix homepage also, but not needed. I have taken a couple of screenshots that are there. So if you see this is the serial that is there. Now this serial is actually, right, this particular entire episodes, or the central theme of this is the lives of women in prisons, especially when an educated person is put in jail. How does she, especially in the context of women prisoners, how do they cope? What are the kinds of challenges they are going to have? This is all about the serial, about the show that is sponsored by Netflix. Now they have interwoven this very dramatically with an article, which actually was appreciated by many, because even though it is a paid article, they were able to very clearly weave the connection, right, in terms of what happens in reality to that of the particular serial that is getting promoted. So consider it a very huge success. Now, welcome to the era of digital marketing, because I have just given you one particular scenario, right? In fact, we look at what are the different types of scenarios that will come up in digital marketing, what are the different types of tools and techniques that are going to be there in digital marketing. But this is just one scenario to understand what it means when we are talking about digital marketing. Now, some numbers, of course, I don't go through all these numbers. We all know that today the number of users of internet, they have increased by leaps and bounds. At one point of time, there are questions as to whether all the people need internet or not, whether they will use internet or not. But thanks to the mobile phone technologies, because earlier I needed a computer in order to access internet. Today, I don't literally need a computer in order to access internet. My phone is enough for me. So according to some of the estimates by Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, which were published in Business Standard, right? Around March 2021, we have 825.3 million. That is around 82.5 crores of Indians. They are using internet. Urban areas, you have around 663. Rural areas, 537. Of course, if you add both of them, there will be some overlap. It may not exactly come to, it will cross this 825. But then, if you look at worldwide also, again, you have 4.66 billion active internet users, which is almost around 60% of the global population that is there. So the reality is that today, all of us are living in a world where we are dependent on technology in terms of not only doing our transactions, but also in terms of communicating, in terms of getting entertainment, maybe in terms of what you call meeting our needs related to the various aspects of life, right? So this is the context in which the marketers actually started looking at using or leveraging the electronic media, because very long back they have realized the potential of this particular electronic media, because earlier to that we are only talking about televisions and then radios. Initially it was radios, then came televisions, then we were looking at how many houses are connected with what you call television networks, how many have cable networks, how many only watch Doordarshan. These were the kinds of analysis that used to be done in the late 90s and early 2000s. But today, if you look at the scenario has changed more in terms of accessing everything, almost everything on an electronic device. It could be your computer, or it could be your what you call iPad kind of a scenario where you are looking at a tablet PC, or it could be your simple smartphone, or even a feature phone also, that is it. So businesses, they started leveraging digital channels. So when you're leveraging on digital channels, you're trying to see how you can leverage on, let's say, search engines, how you can leverage on social media, how you can leverage on email, maybe other websites, your own websites, or with other websites, with affiliates also, in order to serve basically, or in order to connect with both your current customers as well as prospective customers. Now, this phenomenon broadly is known as digital marketing, very broadly speaking. If you are looking at leveraging on the electronic, what you call either devices or the internet, in terms of meeting the needs or communicating, right, or getting in contact with our either existing customers or the prospective customers, this particular phenomenon, very broadly, we call it as the digital marketing scenario. But then for the businesses or for those executives who are very much comfortable with the conventional media, when it comes to the digital media, especially when you're deploying digital media for digital marketing, the game changes, right? The first thing is that earlier you had a control in terms of what to pass on to the customer. Now today, the power to a larger extent has been shifted into the hands of the customers. Customers decide which brands to interact with. You have a choice. They have information. In fact, at one point of time, we never used to know the prices of the competing products also. But today, at one click, you can really find out whether it be insurance, whether it be related to any of the products that you are buying, whether it could be related to the different dealers that are available for the same brand. Just with a click, you can get most of the information. So the customers, they started having the power in terms of which are the brands with which we can interact. And earlier it was like you use advertising, let's say outside hoardings, you spend something, television ads, you spend something, print media, you spend something on newspaper advertising, you spend something on magazines, and then hope that it is going to work. It is like the terminology that is very popularly known as spray and pay. You just spray everything and then pray that it is going to work. But today the scenario again is different. You know, you have certain metrics, right? If you can properly use the kind of technologies that are available to you, you can look at what is happening with respect to the kind of activities that you are doing as a part of your digital marketing, whether they are giving you the right kind of returns or not. You can very much keep a track of it. That's exactly where we are talking about the measurability. Of course, we'll also see these things as we proceed further. And in most of the scenarios, real-time feedback is there. Because as you keep on interacting, right? At the other end, the server keeps on recording. And if you are able to deploy analytics, especially in terms of real time, you can basically take actions where you try to enhance the value for the customer. So all these scenarios, they made it essential for marketers to be on the digital landscape. At one point of time, is the question was whether it is not whether, it is only a question of time where either you are in or you are out. That's the kind of scenario. Because if we look at the one way in which we are communicating as customers, right? If you look at the past 10 years, what are the changes that were there? And for the seniors, in fact, if you look at maybe for the past 20 to 30 years, how things have changed, you know that a lot has changed, right? So this made it very much a necessity for marketers to be present on the digital landscape. But generally speaking, what are the main tools of digital marketing? Now, I will not tell you that, okay, you can go to Twitter, you can go to, let's say, Instagram. All these are there, right, as a part of social media. Or specifically, what do you do there? We are not looking at. But generally speaking, when you're talking about the important tools of digital marketing, the first one is search engine optimization. Now, today, if you look at what I call the search for information, right? In fact, even 10 years back, we would not have had a complete agreement on this. But generally speaking, today, if I want to search for, let's say, a diagnostic center, there are tools that are available that will give me even the map and the location of nearest diagnostic centers within a radius of, let's say, 10 kilometers or 5 kilometers, including their addresses, their websites, their contact numbers. So I'm depending more in terms of the search engines. Of course, the popular one is Google, right? But there are also other things like Bing and other things, especially the Bing of Microsoft, right? Of course, by your natural presence, by your very natural presence on the internet, that means today you can't imagine an organization existing without the presence of a website on the internet. That means that people may not even recognize that this particular organization exists. The minimum requirement is that I need to have at least a page on the web, on the World Wide Web. So because of my presence on the internet, if I'm figuring as a part of results, that is organic search. I'm not doing anything extra because of my presence, right? In terms of what I am, what is my business, right? What are my products? The organic search automatically will, we'll see later, it is going to give you the results. Now, paid search is where you're actually choosing certain words and saying that you're actually entering into a contract with the service provider saying that, come on, these are the words I would like to be associated with. And if someone types these kinds of words, you please ensure that my organization comes into the picture. You please ensure that my organization comes into the picture. I'll give you a small example. When you are talking about the organic search versus the paid search, say if I'm going to Google and talk about digital marketing, D-I-G-I-T-A-L, digital, M-A-R-K-E-T-I-N-G. So I'm basically going with digital marketing. So when you have seen this digital marketing, you please see the first one is an ad. Hope all of you are able to see this. The first one is an ad. Very clearly they mention AD. AD is what is written there. AD. ISB, Indian School of Business. In fact, this particular institute exists just next to the compound wall of my university. But of course, it's an internationally reputed organization, Indian School of Business. They offer a 3 months online program. They very clearly have paid to Google saying that if someone is searching for digital marketing, okay, please give my institute as a result. Then, of course, there is another one, digital marketing on LinkedIn, ads for any budget and goal. So that's exactly where LinkedIn is coming up. So LinkedIn is not teaching you, but rather it is promoting its own digital marketing. Then, of course, digital marketing experts, digital marketing company. So solutions.dnav.com. That is another company that is figuring. And of course, as you go now here, you are finding articles related to what is digital marketing by one MailChimp. This is one company, right? And of course, if you look at just like the way I said when I'm talking about this digital marketing, right? They are giving me the digital marketing institutes nearby my location also, because they know my location by virtue of the IP address that is there. And of course, there are a few other things which are naturally coming up because of their presence that is there. And we are not paying. Say, for example, if you look at this Neil Patel, a very famous person as far as digital marketing is concerned, right? Of course, he talks about learning it in 5 minutes, whether you believe it or not. But then the interesting scenario here is there's not a paid one. These are all the organic ones that are there, right? So very interestingly, when I'm going and searching for certain things, suppose if I say digital marketing course, let us see what happens. When I say digital marketing course, again, ISB Digital is there. But you look at this, the second one is Narsingh Monjee Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. It is offering a 3 to 12-month online course. Then Kellogg School of Management, C-suite programs is another one. And then digital marketing course, 6 months online program, Great Learning, that is another one coming. And of course, the other ones nearby are getting shown there. And then again, for various reasons, the other ones, very organically, they're coming into the picture that are there. So search has become a very, very powerful tool for marketers to influence the prospective customers. So that's exactly where the organic search is different from the paid search. That means that you actually enter into an agreement with the service provider, so that the models are there, pay-per-click and other things, which we'll see when we're talking about search engine optimization. And of course, then we are actually looking at the deployment of analytics, right? So analytics, as you see, especially for the past 10 years, with the advent of what you call technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, today, to a certain extent, you can keep track of various activities that are done by looking at the data that is collected. Say, if you look at an Amazon page, right now there could be thousands of people who could be browsing the Amazon pages. Now, which are the pages that are being browsed more? Which are the pages that are not being visited by the customers? Which are the pages that were visited more during the festival period? If a festival is there, like let's say Diwali, or let's say Christmas, right, or any other festival, how are people actually looking at different types of products? Which are the brands that they are picking up? You can basically get this information. You can make an analysis, especially with the deployment of analytics. To a certain extent, that could be automated also. And of course, then we are looking at the social media marketing. Like I said, today we again live in a world where there are multiple types of social media websites that are available. Be it LinkedIn, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, be it Instagram, anything else. So all of us have accounts. Most of us, if not all of us, most of us have accounts in these social media sites where we keep on exchanging information. So interestingly, can we basically use social media for public relations, and also can we use our social media pages for influencing people? That's another scenario. Of course, the very common and the traditional one is related to what is known as email marketing, how you can leverage the facility of email in order to reach more number of people and communicate what you would like to communicate. And then interestingly, the next one is content marketing. In fact, the very first example that we have seen has something to do with the content. Of course, content marketing comes in various dimensions that is there. A content could be in the form of a video, it could be in the form of a text, it could be in the form of a picture that is there. But how can I use the content? Because somewhere down the line, we say content is the king, especially when it comes to marketing, right? If your content is good enough, you need not worry. People automatically are going to appreciate the content, and this content is going to help your brand or your products. And then the final thing is related to what is known as marketing automation. So it is basically the deployment of the software tools that are available, where to a certain extent you can automatically start doing things related to marketing. Say, for example, triggering emails or sending SMSs to customers, right? These sort of activities could be done with the automation part. That means that you need not have any manual intervention, but because of the both the programming as well as the hardware that you are having access to, you will be able to communicate or you will be able to, in fact, deliver certain services also to the customers automatically, right? So how well, or what is the best way of looking at this entire framework that is there as far as digital marketing is concerned? Now, as far as students are concerned, Now you can just remember poem. In fact, if you have gone through books also, they talk about poem framework. Just you need to look at poem framework. So first thing very clearly, P stands for paid media. Already I have told you, sponsored advertisements on search engines, websites, etc. Owned media, my own website. You see, I am managing my own website. I can have even a smaller site also, a microsite. Especially, I can have different versions of websites also. One for the mobile phone, if someone is browsing through the mobile phone. One for if someone is browsing through the desktop. In fact, you could have seen, especially banks' websites, how they differ based on the. Of course, the server is the same, but then the entire appearance is different based on the device from which you are actually accessing this. Similarly, I can have my own social media pages. Okay, if you go and go to Facebook or Twitter and look for different brands, there are pages that are handled by these companies' executives. That means that these are company-owned pages. This is company-owned media that is there. So you can have pages on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. Now, the last one is what is called as earned media. So poem, paid, then owned media, then you are basically looking at the earned media. So earned media you're saying is like organic and unpaid. Just similar to the phenomenon we call as the word of mouth. A simple example that I can give, especially for students in terms of word of mouth, is you look at a promotion of a movie. A movie can be promoted in many different ways, but at the end of the day, what happens is the people who have seen this movie, they come out and then they talk to their friends, they talk to their relatives about the movie. This is word of mouth. You can say that the word of mouth can be positive or word of mouth can be negative also, or sometimes it could be neutral also, interesting scenario. And sometimes you look at the kind of likes that you put on social media. Sometimes you share the content. If you think that this content is good enough to be shared, you are going to share this content. Sometimes you are going to make comments. Of course, these comments also could be either positive or negative, but this is all the earned media, right? How you are going to look at the content that is generated for which you actually do not pay. It is not owned by you also, but this is basically what is called as earned media that is there. So either you are looking at the paid ones, or you are looking at the owned ones, your own ones, or you are looking at the earned media.
Sir, what is M? What is M?
Media.
POEM. M is media.
M is media, paid media, owned media, and media.
Oh, every M is okay. M is media. Okay.
See, that's how. See, these are all the tricks and tips, sir. In fact, I don't believe in this. That's why I said that students, for students, it could be an acronym. Just like, see, they want everything like 4Ps, 6Ps. I don't know. But similarly, here someone suddenly said that you call it as a poem. Why it could be a poem? It could be EOP also. But then they said that you can remember poem easily, right? Then you keep wondering what is M for. M, they said, is for media. For everything, there is a media. Your paid media, earned media, owned media, right?
So just one more question. In the previous slide, it is PPC and SEM marketing. PPC is production planning control, and SEM is supply. What is that one?
Wait, which slide, sir?
Same one. Previous. No. Previous one. Yes, this is the one.
Yeah, where, sir?
PPC and SEM marketing, above email marketing, and after social media.
No, that is social media marketing. No PPC is there, sir.
What is this PPC and SEM marketing?
Where do you find PPC?
It's written here, above email marketing.
It is PR and influencer, sir. Social media marketing, PR and influencer.
Actually, it is written here PPC and SEM marketing. That's fine. It's written there in your slide. It's written PPC and SEM marketing. It must be production.
No, I'm just reading out, sir. I'm just reading out. Hopefully, I'm reading it correctly. Search engine optimization is the first one, and organic search, paid search, AdWords, analytics.
No. Don't read that. Don't read the figures. Read the pictures.
Okay. Please be clear, sir, in that particular case, right?
Yeah.
See, if you are talking about pay per click, I have just given the figures in order to catch your attention, but good that you have asked. PPC, I have already mentioned it as pay per click. If you are going through Google or something, pay per click, PAY, pay, PER per, CLICK, click.
And SEM?
SEM is search engine marketing.
Okay, thank you.
Fine.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, I am telling you, you're free to ask your questions, but please be specific in terms of because I have been looking what is above email marketing means. I am just looking at the content here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I could have told you the pictures.
No issue. I got confused, right? Okay. So now when we are talking about the digital landscape, right? Generally, as we have just now seen, most of the times, the focus is around these 4 activities. One is, whether we like it or not, companies try to influence us using search engine marketing. In fact, we'll see at a later stage when we talk about search engine optimization, what are the various things these companies do in order to see that their website gets promoted, especially when you are searching for something. Then social media marketing, right? We use various handles of social media, and then we try to say, in fact, in analytics, there is a separate section for text analytics, especially as a part of which we do what is known as sentiment analysis. In sentiment analysis, we try to see how a brand or product is being perceived. We try to assess the sentiment of the public, only who are posting on the sites, in terms of finding out what is kind of reputation our brand is having. It is also known as online brand reputation management. How you are going to basically manage the reputation of the brand, because in certain cases, if you really look at what has been posted by people on the social media, we call this as user generated content. UGC, of course, is not the UGC related to University Grants Commission. User generated content. Generally what happens is there are 2 types of content. One is the company promoted content. The company writes about itself. The company writes about its products. But at the same time, you also have something known as a user generated content. The best example I can give you is, if you go to Amazon and look at certain products, right? Generally you go down and look at the kind of ratings that are given by the people who have already purchased, right? In terms of, one is the star ratings they have given, and the second one is the content they have written, right? Someone straightforward, the useless product, don't buy it, right? This is how someone talks about it. Someone says, I am okay with it. Someone says, I am extremely delighted with it, based on what are the experiences they had with that particular product, right? So interesting perspectives here when we are looking at how we can look at the content and then use it as a part of our marketing. Of course, as I told you, online reputation management, right? Listening and reacting, basically, right? Special groups are formed in order to monitor the online, what you call responses that are given by customers across various platforms, where they try to be responsive. In fact, you can see this when you're looking at downloading of apps and installing them. You also go through the reviews. In most of the scenarios, if the company is good enough, if the reviews, they mention some problem with the app and other things, they also respond to that. This may not happen with all the companies, but especially some companies, they are good at responding. That's exactly where we are looking at the active listening and reacting part that is there. And then, of course, as I told you, the final part is related to digital analytics, because whatever the information or the data that you have collected, especially because of the virtue of being present online, unless you make some meaning out of this particular data, right, you can't actually act on it. This is what we call it as actionable insights, right? A simple example I would like to tell you. For example, if you have gone to Amazon and if you're looking at a particular product, say, for example, you would like to buy a particular product, you're looking at that. At the bottom, this fellow also says that people who purchase this also purchase this and this. How does this fellow know that this is happening? If you look at analytics, there is something called as a market basket analysis or an association analysis, of course, entirely based on the mathematical modeling that is done with the data that is collected. This is being actually used in order to get the insights from the data and thereby improve the business, right? Now this will be a little bit heavy if you are looking at the activities that are done. First one is search engine marketing, intent-based marketing. I'm searching for something. something related to that is being presented. Second one is brand marketing, right? Where you can go with either the display or the digital advertising directly. You're looking at using these channels for sending across your message. Then you're talking about content marketing. Either it could be a website, it could be a blog, it could be native content. Native content is nothing but the paid content, the example that I have shown you earlier. Later, we will also see an Indian example. Then you have community-based marketing. So you look at social media and business communities and groups related to them. And then you would like to promote your products, or you would like to enhance your brand value on these platforms. Interestingly, there is also something called as affiliate marketing or partner marketing. Now, we can look at it deeper at a later point of time, but at this point of time, when we are talking about the partner marketing, is there a way that two different business entities, or maybe a business and a customer, can come together and basically add value to each other? This is possible, especially with the presence of electronic media. So affiliate marketing, sponsorships, public relations, these are some of the examples that are there. And of course, the communication channel marketing, email, messaging, SMS. In fact, most of us today experience this almost every day. Then interestingly, based on the platform, are you using a mobile? Are you using an app? Are you using an app, right? Are you using a particular media platform based on which I generate the content so that I get the customers engaged with my particular brand? I'm not sure whether this is clearly visible to you, but I thought of keeping it. Can someone just give me feedback as to whether the slide is visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, right. Is it readable?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's readable.
So intent-based marketing. So you put messages placed in conjunction with information obtained on the search engines, right? So you talk about something, and then say, for example, here, let us say, just give me a second. Let's switch over to the. If you look at here, we have looked at digital marketing courses. We got all this. Let us say, I'd like to look at something related to. Just give me Goa visiting. I'll say something like a Goa visit. Of course, here for Goa visit, no one has opted for it. Directly, it is coming here. Now, I'll say Goa tour. Let us see this. If anyone has opted for the word called as tour. Interestingly, you have a different kind of a scenario that is coming. So, Akbar Travels recommended best Goa tour packages that is there. Otherwise, you have Yatra and other things that are there. Now, I'll just go and then say best places to visit in India. Best places to visit in India. Do you have this? Again, no one has gone for this. Everything is organic here, right? And then what I will do is, I'll just say best hotels to stay. Here, suddenly you will have a different scenario. Again, no one has opted, at least as far as the best hotels are concerned, or at least he's not showing it, but you can see that at least in the first scenario, we are looking at these things coming up, especially based on my IP location, they're showing in terms of which are the hotels that are present. Now, what we'll do is just flight tickets. Let's say this. You see, interestingly here, a lot of airline companies or a lot of tour companies, they have gone for this. The moment I said the flight and tickets, you can find cleartrip.com, the first ad that is coming. Then Ixigo is the next one. Make My Trip is the next one. And then Intermiles is the next one. Please see this. All these are the ads that are there. These ads are in tune with what I'm looking at, That's exactly where we are looking at understanding the intent-based marketing. I'm looking for something. So, for example, if I say that I don't want all this, I would like to buy, let's say we would like to look at a digital camera, digital camera. Here, interestingly, you are looking at Amazon, but Amazon has not paid anything as far as this result is concerned. I say brands, brands. Again, let us see. There are no particular ads that are there. Everything that has been given here to the right, you can see actually. The ads are shop digital camera brands, and then they are given it in a particular box, right? So based on whatever I am searching for, because the people have already taken these search words and then they have paid Google, I'm getting these results. Now, of course, the next one is utilizing advertising across websites for your brand marketing. Content marketing, as we have seen in the very opening statement of our discussion, we have seen that there is an article in New York Times about what are the challenges that are faced by women when they get jailed, using story-based elements to share the marketing messages in a targeted fashion. Very clearly, they have in mind while they are writing this article, they wanted to promote the serial of Netflix or the show of the Netflix, whatever that season 2, I believe, right? And then community-based marketing, utilizing social community networks and platforms to conduct marketing. Most of the times as individuals, we get exposed to the social media, but otherwise there are B2B platforms also that are available. Then when you're talking about partner marketing, as I told you, it includes maybe the third-party sites, affiliates, basically for sponsorships or public relation activities that are there. These partners, they create value for each other, which we'll see at a later point of time. Communication channel marketing involves marketing on all communication lead platforms. So what we are trying to do is across all the communication platforms, you try to make your presence being felt, especially in an integrated marketing model kind of a scenario. And then finally, we are looking at any of the platforms. It could be a gaming platform or it could be a trading platform, but we integrate our marketing basically using this particular platforms that are there. Now, you don't require this because we have already seen what is called as a search engine marketing. We put keywords in the search box. Now, to that extent, we know, and the results are going to come, right? And the results are going to come. But what happens at the back end, actually how search engines work is quite interesting. Of course, this has more to do with the technology, but we can understand at a very basic level as to how they function. Actually, the search engine, owners, what they do is, or these companies, they write a software called as a crawler and release it onto the internet. This crawler goes across the world and goes through all the websites. It is also called as a spider in some cases, and then goes through the pages which are allowed to be crawled, because people also know that unless your website is crawled, it doesn't get reflected in the search. But also that doesn't mean that if a bank is there, it will allow the spider or the crawler to enter into the records of the customers also. There you are going to have the security measures that are there, right? Similarly, if you don't want your website to be crawled also, you can also ensure that it cannot be crawled using a specialist related to HTML technology or other ones that are there. But generally speaking, this is how it happens. So it will go through the content, text, audio, video, if any other files that are accessible that are there. Then what it does is, it includes the ranking and the crawled content in terms of an indexing content. That means that, okay, this is an education related website. Organically speaking, let's say you go to ASBM University or you go to University of Hyderabad. This is a university. This comes under the category of the university. What are the courses that are offered, right? Maybe what is the location in which this particular university is there, right? How many backlinks are there to this particular university? That means that how many other websites are pointing to this particular university. That we'll see later in search engine optimization. So this is done and an index is made. So you see, especially when you're looking at the results, how come you get a first result, second result, third result, not paid results, but the organic results based on both the relevancy and then the reputation of that particular website, you're going to get the results that are there. So when you put a query, it already has an index. It checks in terms of for this query which are the relevant answers that are there, and these relevant answers are going to be presented on the screen using the keywords that are there. So if you see this is how it is there. If you talk about a search engine, right, it releases a spider. The spider evaluates and learns about your web page by analyzing the data and metadata in the keyword. What is metadata? We'll see later when we are talking about search engine optimization. They crawl from page to page and build a list of words, content. Then they combine these findings from each page and builds an index in large databases. Spiders report back to search engine with the results. This is what happens at the back end. Now, what happens at the front end? Suppose I'm a user, right? User enters the query, and then what happens from the search index, right? The search engine software gets activated, results are displayed, and then from the results, I'm going to choose whatever pages I would like to actually go through. So this is how, in a nutshell. Of course, if you talk to computer science people, they say that okay, this is a very simplistic way of doing this. But in fact, how the algorithm works, sometimes people say that the algorithm that the Google kind of search engines are going to use is a secret, right? That's how they are able to give you better results. That's why it became popular, right? These things are there, but at a very broad level, when you're talking about the search engines, this is how search engines are going to work. Now, coming to the social media, right? We look at the social media. It could be like maybe your Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google Plus, anything, right? Basically, to build the brand. Now, building the brand is where you make your brand. First thing is the awareness, right? Then you basically create a desire of you. Of course, those of you who know the conventional funnel technique that is there, more or less the same scenario comes here, right? So these are some of the websites that are there, and then using social media, would like to promote our brands. But now, let us look at what happens when we are looking at partner marketing, direct marketing, content marketing, and platform marketing. We are going to look a little bit deeper into each of these scenarios that are there. So when you're talking about the first scenario in terms of what is known as partner marketing, now this terminology is used with all types of marketing channels, which involve partnering with other influencers in the same domain or area of operation, which either have their own influence or they are serving similar audiences as the brand. Say, for example, I open a particular website, and then the particular website is having a partnership with Amazon. So it will also give me information about either the products that are offered by Amazon or sometimes the promotional material that is released by Amazon. So it includes that's what is known as affiliate marketing, online public relations, sometimes paid editorial partnerships. Now, very clearly, we go to a certain extent where even an editorial, in fact, today, there is a term called as infomercials. What is the infomercial? Information plus commercial is what they say. But interestingly, when you're talking about this editorial partnership, paid editorial, I have seen, in fact, you could also have seen, there is one university in India where I find regularly articles on this university, and if I carefully see that, somewhere they say that this is a paid ad. They say that even during Corona, we had 10% placement. I wonder how come this has come as a part of my regional language. I go through Telugu newspaper like Eenadu or something, then I find that, okay, suddenly they talk about some university in New Delhi performing very well, and it comes in the first page. Very clearly, this is the kind of the partnership they have built, where it's a form of paid content that is there. In the same vertical, I am working in, say, educational sector. Some other some other organizations are also related to the educational sector. So same vertical that could be there, or it could be in the retail sector. The other organizations that are related to the retail sector could also be there. They can basically collaborate. Now, unfortunately, I tried to condense this, but as far as this and the coming slides are concerned, they got cluttered. Please pardon me for that. But if you look at finally what is going to happen in all these scenarios, when you look at the affiliate marketing, the businesses, right? who are partners with each other. They reward one or more affiliates for each visitor customer brought by the affiliates marketing. So I am A, B is my affiliate, B gets me business, B gets me business. So because B is getting me the business, right, I am going to reward them. We both of us have an agreement prior to that. The affiliate could be an influencer. Sometimes you see this, no? There are people who are specialist chefs, right? I believe that's where we look at certain scenarios where a chef would be running a blog. Now there could be many followers for the chef. Now suddenly you find an ad for a spice powder, on the chef's website. Now this chef is actually working as an ambassador, an affiliate to the other party, because if someone clicks on this because of the recommendation made by this fellow and they are landing up there, this can be tracked. How am I actually getting my traffic can be tracked? Is it through the affiliate, or is it through the search engine, or is it through directly someone typing? That can be tracked. So I can be rewarding the affiliate. The affiliate could be an influencer, a top brand, even a loyal customer who can get brand new customers by offering discounts and promotions, right? Which have been shared by the brand for further promotions. You can look at review sites, comparison sites, e-commerce sites. All these come under affiliate marketing, because the chances are there that they could become affiliates. Now, the second part is related to public relations, where
Hello, sir.
we look at, yeah, please.
Sir, I am having a doubt.
Please.
Sir, is outsourcing a part of affiliate marketing? Outsourcing?
So that depends on how you define outsourcing.
Yes, means promoting other websites in my page or something like that.
Yeah,
taking
very clearly.
from other companies.
If you are promoting other brands or other websites on your page, it is affiliate marketing. But if it is formally arranged that the other company is rewarding you based on the business that you are getting, it will be a very formal one.
Yes, I get it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, second scenario is related to the public relations, where you give articles, regular news releases, other information that is there. Editorial partnerships, already we are seeing, they're paid articles specifically written to enhance the image of a specific product on websites which relate to the domain vertical. Example would be to place a paid article on the importance of using healthy brand oil in a site about health and wellness. Now you see this indirectly, if you look at this, that's the reason why all this is called as partner marketing, because there could be a lot of overlap, right? You can even argue editorial partnership is also one kind of an affiliate marketing. Yes, it could be an affiliate marketing. That's the reason why we call it as partner marketing. Now, the other scenario is related to direct marketing. Now, all of us know, in fact, sometimes we are victims also because of the overdose of outbound marketing made by companies. You have your entire email filled with the promotional material that is sent by different companies. Or you start receiving SMS messages which are unsolicited, right? So this is where outbound, remember, when you are talking about digital marketing offers you lots of ways in which you can promote your brand. That doesn't mean that it is going to work for everyone. That's the reason why we started with an example where how a carefully planned and executed campaign is going to give us results compared to just using, say, for example, I have a database of 1,000 emails. I keep on bombarding them with this information. I don't even know how many of them have a relevancy with the content that I'm sending also. That doesn't work, right? So one part is outbound marketing. Of course, we know about inbound marketing also, especially when you're talking about call centers receiving calls, where it could be customer service calls or toll-free numbers. Sometimes, as I told you, response marketing, right? Users, they make certain comments, right? Or they give certain response to brand interactions. So there, especially if you can find in most of the scenarios that the users make comments, these are unattended to. Very clearly here, the image of the company, the trust on the product or the brand, it gets diluted. So organized companies, what they do is they will have a team that could take care of the response marketing. Now, let us come to the content marketing. As I already told you, the de facto statement is that content is the king. So especially when we talk about content is the king, remember, I can give some money to a technician and get a website. But when it comes to the content, just like that, I cannot, the technician cannot make the content. Lots of creativity has to go into creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and attractive content, which is not going to be easy. Channel is there, website is there, or there is a what I call there is a page for me on Facebook. But then what is the content I am putting on this is going to be very important. So you basically look at your owned media, either my website or my page on the social media, or if any blog site that I am managing. So my own area is where I can create the content. So I can look at my own website or blog, right? Or you can look at any of the personal channels that are there. So your profile or your page is your property, but then where did you actually, say for example, on Facebook, I'm having a page. If I'm having a page on Facebook, I should abide by the terms and conditions of Facebook. That could be, that should be noted before we go further. Just like that, I can't post any content saying that it is going to be creative. So in content marketing, what do you actually do? Written articles, okay. Videos, that is also fine. And one of the most common resources is to generate leads, encouraging users to download them in exchange for their email address. So what do you do in most of scenarios? They'll give you beautiful content. In fact, when in the morning also, when I was going through some of the sites to go through them and keep them as examples, what they say is, in order to continue through the article, please drop your email ID. So what is happening here? They know very clearly that this fellow has taken this particular content. This is the email ID of this particular fellow. Of course, online radio programs. Today you talk about online radio, or podcast is another term that is used, especially where we are going to listen more, not actually viewing something. That is also there. And say, for example, if your company, especially the universities as well as other educational institutions, have this facility of courses and webinars conducting online, right? Similarly, if the company has got something to teach to people, it can also make this as a part of the content marketing that is there. Now, this is one example that I'm giving. If you're talking about the content marketing that is there, see this iPhone people, they have started this. Actually, this viral marketing initiative, which actually clicked, where they said that you keep on sharing whatever you have shot on iPhone. Then people started, this is just a small snapshot that I kept. If you look at, this is related to the last one called as the viral content of the video marketing that is there, involves techniques to quickly spread self-propagating messages. So today, in fact, what every company is looking at is how to make my brand, how to make my content viral. That is one of the scenarios that they are looking at. Now, others speaking, if you are looking at your content marketing, one is own content. Other one is paid content, very frank. Basically, it comes into two types. Either I am going to write my own content in my own website, or I am going to go for what is known as the paid content. So this is the example that with which I have started. Actually, this came towards the middle, but purposefully I wanted to start with this. That's the reason why we looked at this, right? So this is the native content on the New York Times that is there. Now, similarly, if you go to the Indian scenario, you can look at this. If you look at what is called as this brand stories that are there, right? You can look at lots of these stories which actually promote a particular, this is Hindustan Times, right? So if you look at this, there is one more brand story. Of course, the first one is related to this Volkswagen India, right? The launch of the Taycan is there. They write something about this, but going back, if you look at one more scenario where they are directly talking about a particular scenario, let me just take you there. Here, what they're saying is this golden oil is a miracle for your kitchen, from your kitchen, sorry. And then if you go further, this festive season, bring home the Heartland collection. a guide to upgrading your home appliances. Want to know what happens in an IVF cycle and how long it takes? Very clearly, sponsored content again, once you go through this. So this is just one scenario where when you're talking about the Indian context, we also have certain companies trying to go, at least trying to go viral, or at least trying to become very popular with the branded stories that are there. But not every story that is posted is going to become. See, it is like this. Like not every movie that is going to be made is going to be a hit. Not every story that is going to be made is going to be a hit. But companies need to try. Depends on who are involved in terms of making this. Depends on the timing of that particular advertisement. Depends on even the platform on which you are having this channel also. So this is the Hindustan Times scenario that is there. And this is platform marketing. Now it becomes more direct from here. You can look at the devices that are there, right? Marketing applications through mobile applications are putting ads on emerging products like Google Glass, wearable watches, all this. If you look at the past 5 years, they have been there. Some people are using it. At least mobiles, if you're talking about this, most of us are using it. But it again depends upon the kind of segmentation that you do, right? And then when you're talking about the platform marketing, say for example, there could be an airport, you can look at kiosk marketing. Maybe here you can look at departmental store kiosks, or if you're looking at Microsoft has got this Microsoft Surface, the device that is there. Using this as a platform, you can start generating content. And the most popular one, especially when you're talking about media marketing as a part of platform marketing, is in-game marketing. Of course, I don't know about my generation as well as the previous generations, but if you today look at what could be termed as the young generation, they spend a lot of time in terms of playing games, online games. You would have heard definitely about PUBG, right? Prior to that, there was some story around stealing cars and other things around 5 years back. So what happens here is when you're looking at computer-based simulation environments, so there are always chances where you can place your messages, and sometimes you can place your messages depending on the context also. What is the context of the game and how you are going to put these messages. In fact, if you look at one of the presidential campaigns of Barack Obama, I believe it is the second one, they used a lot of in-game marketing. At that point of time, it became, the in-game marketing became very famous. And interestingly, here we are talking about what is called as moment marketing. Now, moment marketing is different from the conventional marketing campaign, which we generally build, which is actually there for a longer period of time. So when you're talking about moment marketing, say for example, right now, what is trending? What is trending? So I took this example of Chandrayaan. If you look at a couple of years back, right? ISRO's Chandrayaan was the talk of the town. And then what happens here is you're basically weaving your brand or your message around that particular event. The ability to take advantage of an event to deliver relevant and related, seemingly spontaneous and often fleeting interactions with the customers in real time. So if you look at the first one, maybe when you're talking about this Bisleri, so her space mission Chandrayaan 2 nahi, her pani ka bottle Bisleri nahi. So they wanted to relate somehow with maybe Chandrayaan. That's what you try to see. Similarly, when IPL occurs, of course, you directly pay to BCCI and get the television slots for marketing your products. That is direct. But if you are able to interweave this, see, in fact, if you look at the second advertisement, if you just look at the baby's face, can you remember one of the very famous biscuit brands? If you just look at the baby's face,
Parle-G.
Parle-G, of course, it is mentioned. So what they said is India launches Chandrayaan 2, right? The first homegrown lunar spacecraft, right? And then they are basically relating it with again the Chandrayaan 2 that is there. Moment marketing, it is quite spontaneous. See, there is an event that is occurring. Thing is that there is a chance that you can relate with this event. But again, the question here is, can each and every brand relate to it, or could there be a creative way of actually relating with it? And by doing this, can you connect with your customers? These are some of the questions that you need to ask. And as we have mentioned in the start, leveraging on the software to automate repetitive marketing tasks. Especially, this is more visible in CRM kind of a setup, where you have lots of customer data. So when you're talking about the customer data platform in conjunction with the customer relationship management, say for example, automatically you're triggering out surveys and getting feedback on products, services, right? Maybe updates, right? What happens here is there would be a particular trigger for sending this. The trigger could be someone has purchased something. Then immediately, based on the purchase, there is an action that is triggered. Or say, for example, you have gone through a particular program, you have visited a particular site, or you could be looking at a product update that is there. So what happens is, using this, what you call events, whatever are occurring, from that particular point onwards, you program for different types of maybe data collection or different types of communications to be sent to the customers. So for example, you have opted out of a newsletter. Now they would like to say, okay, can you just give me a feedback why you have opted out of our newsletters? Thing is that if you send it to 1,000 people, maybe hardly 10 or 15 people might send a reply, but still that would be useful for you in terms of taking an action. Now, let us have a look at the analytics part that is there. Right. Now, when we are talking about analytics is entirely based on the data that is collected by the organization in terms of the traffic data that is generated by the websites or the mobile applications which use a lot of data. In turn, now I can look at using this data for traffic generation as well as monitoring also. I can see what are the times at which I'm having the peak traffic, which are the pages that are getting the highest hits that are there, right? Now, what could be the IP addresses, which are the geographic regions from which I'm getting the traffic, right? I can optimize the e-commerce. So for example, if you're running a platform like Amazon or a Flipkart, how do you see that with the minimum kind of cost scenario, you would like to maximize your sales? Or sometimes it could be a simple case of how do you enhance user experience, or how to better improve the design of applications. We can use this. So this is the technical part. If someone has a question in terms of how the data is collected, mostly your web logs is not the blogging part. I'm talking about the web logging, where you have JavaScript tags that are incorporated into the website, and then this web server is going to take care of the creation and maintenance of this. So you look at the page name, IP address, date and timestamps, right? Browser of the user. In fact, most of the apps that we use, they give a lot of information back to the particular app owner. Once there was an app, what you call developer, who was interacting with us, they said that they will get information, including, because sometimes we give access when you're installing an app at free of cost. It says that, okay, I would like to access your contacts. I say yes. I'd like to access your media files. I say yes, like that. No, not only this, including what is our web phone, what is the operating system that we are using, and sometimes our location also. Most of this, of course, this have to be discussed from the context of the data privacy, which is a different subject. Okay, data privacy and data security, right? These aspects, maybe hopefully if ASBM conducts one more seminar related to that, we can interact there. Now, one of the key metrics is the behavior analysis.
I think two of the participants wants to ask a few questions. Indu and Avishek. Indu, you can please unmute yourself and you can raise your question.
No, sir, by mistake it happened.
Avishek? Avishek, do you have a question? Sorry, sir. Please continue.
No, it's okay, sir. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Sir, please can you share the PPT please again? Show your PPT again, so I can want the sub points, subheadings of the PPT.
I'll share it with you, sir.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
not a big issue. If you have any relevant, you can ask. Those
Okay.
can be taken care of. The system. Please
See,
continue.
in fact, this PPT, after 1 year, you will find that it is useless also. I'll send it because you will be more updated than this, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you are looking at some of the key metrics, the de facto one is what is called as clickstream data. So what happens here is your server keeps on recording once you visit a website, right? That website server, it looks at the data on pages a visitor visits, order of the visit, which is the first page. Then from that page, you click a link and go to another page. What is the order? And then you basically look at what is the intent of this visitor. Why did the visitor actually come to the website? Because very clearly this will be mapped. They'll have the patterns, right? In fact, based on the patterns, sometimes they will also predict what the user is going to do also. Second thing is when you're looking at the visit or a session generally, the time period which you spend on a particular website, when you're talking about clicks versus visits, not all the clicks become visits. Let's say I click on a website, before the opening of the website, I might close it. Now, interestingly, there is also something we will see later called as the bounce rate. The typical drop is 10 to 15% for various technical reasons. Let's say you have clicked a website, for some reasons it is not opening, and then you thought that enough is enough, and then you have closed it. But this might happen 10 to 15%. This is again based on the research that is done. If your drop rate is more than this, you need to investigate why this is happening. Unique visitors is, let's say I could be a repetitive visitor. Most of the times this could be tracked using my IP ID as well as based on the kind of cookies that are placed on my browser. But we also look at unique number of visitors. Then calculating unique visitors by using cookies and IP basis. How much time we have spent on the site? Stickiness. This is called a stickiness. Let's say you have gone through a site for half an hour, but whereas same site your friend has gone through for only 5 minutes. What could be the reason? What could be the reason? What could be the factors that are affecting? So how well you are able to engage, your visitor. That's an interesting thing. And then once you come to a website, how many pages you have visited? So you look at all the people and calculate what is the average number of page visits per visitors. These are very important, especially when you're looking at using websites for your marketing. Now you see this. When you hit a ball to a wall, what happens is it bounces back. Similar to that, what is happening here is when you're looking at a website, you go to a website and then immediately come out of it. You go to a website and immediately come out of it. So user leaves from the landing page without interacting with it. User leaves from the landing page. I come up to your landing page, but without interacting, I am leaving. Some issue is there here. Now the following result in the bounce, clicking on the link to a different website. I come to your site to click on to a different link and go to another site. Beyond that, I don't interact with your site anymore. Or I come to your site and immediately I'll say back and go to back. Or closing a window or tab. Or I come to your site and immediately type a new link. Or sometimes this is a technical scenario related to what is called a session timed out. We'll see that again when we are looking at the search engine optimization where you will not have any display that is there, therefore you are going to close it. Now this is from here onwards, it is more in terms of looking at the pictures. Let us say based on the graphical interfaces that we have, based on the behavior of the users, we can go with lots of analysis, graphical representation of visitors' engagement on the website. One is called as scroll map. So how much they have scrolled, which are the areas where they have spent more time, and different colors are there to mention that, which are the areas where they have scrolled and stayed for some time. And which are the sections that have more visitor clicks, which are the areas where they're clicking more. again using the color code. They give you already the color code. And these are the areas that have been clicked more. These are the areas that have been clicked less. You're going to get some within the page. The interesting scenario here is within the page, what is happening, you're trying to find out, right? And then movement of the cursor. This is quite interesting. In fact, if you look at what we have done earlier also, we have visited those websites, and then what we have done is we just scrolled as well as moved the cursor also. So while reading the web pages, what is the movement of the cursor? Maybe it roughly indicates the pattern of the navigation that is there, which could be again useful for the people who are there. Now, this is interesting. When you're looking at this bounce, RB is for bounce that is there. RE basically is related for the existing ones. So one is basically you're looking at the views. Second one is you're looking at the exits, right? So total number of views by total number of exits, or you can look at total number of exits divided by total number of views that are there. So exits is where basically people just come to pages and then drop out. They will not interact with that particular page. Later, you need to investigate why people are not interacting with that particular page, or why you're unable to retain people. So that's where these types of ratios can be used. And then they will also look at the traffic sources. As I told you, how many people have directly visited? They directly type the URL. This generally happens very rarely, but still happens, because normally, see, in fact, today banks also advise us when you're accessing a bank's website, chances are that maybe there could be what is called as this phishing, where someone who wants to cheat you, they might be committing fraud by making appear their result also, and you click on that result and enter your username and password that is there. So in order to avoid that, maybe directly typing the URL could be a solution. Sometimes search visitors through search query, people are coming to me. Referral visitors through another blog or a website. In fact, that in a sense becomes your affiliate if you are basically rewarding them. Referral visitors, that means that I'm getting most of my traffic through the other websites, because through the other websites, from that website, they're going and they're finding the link and they're coming here. And then let us look at the scenario that is there. Conversion rate is percentage of users who perform the desired action. Let's say we are looking at a certain level of conversion that is there. Now, I don't know if you have seen Amazon, they offer you to store your ATM card so that every time you need not enter the card details. Every time you need not enter the card details, they will ask you to save your card, and they'll tell you that we are going to keep it as what you call very confidentially. We will not share it. And what is happening here is whether I'm accepting or not. How many people have visited and how many people have accepted the terms and conditions? It need not be a sale, but it could be whether a desired action has been performed or not. So again, if you look at the funnel kind of a scenario, maybe you can look at starting with the total number of visitors, and then finally, if you look at maybe in this case a purchase that is there, from 100% visitors, 70% actually get into the shopping area, 35% put the items in the cart. Out of that, finally, you find that only 5% of the visitors actually ended up in terms of purchasing the items that are there. This is where you can have a good idea in terms of how much traffic has to be generated in order to have a certain amount of a sale. Because, for this amount of traffic, ultimately, let's say if 100 members are coming, finally 5 members are buying. If I want, let's say 20 members to at least to buy, maybe minimum I require maybe roughly around 1,000 people to visit my site, so that at least 5 out of every 100, right? So, 5 out of every 100 is 50, right? So if I'm looking at 50 members, I'm looking at least 1,000 people to come and visit me. And second thing is you look at the average order value, especially very much relevant for the sites that make the sales. Some of the revenue generated divided by total number of orders that are there, right? So you look at the medium, low, average or order value segments that are there. You can identify them using this. And finally, you talk about experience analysis. What is you try to take a survey. What is your purpose of visiting the website? Now, when we looked at visiting certain websites, our purpose is just to use them as examples as far as this session is concerned. At a later point of time, when you actually look at the kind of websites that you visit, what is your purpose? Are you able to complete the task that is there? If not, if you are unable to complete, what might be the reason? Then you just go to our site, look at testing the functionality of the site and give us the feedback, right? And how many people are actually able to complete the task on a particular website, because websites, when they offer certain tasks to be performed, you can do this. Now, this is a scenario, if you really look at this, very popularly, most of you might have already been exposed to this, A/B testing. Now you want to promote something. Let's say I have a scenario A and I have scenario B. Which one works better? Because I can't go with both A and B, which one is going to work better? You can test it. You can test it. Just like the way in marketing research we have experimentation. We can test this and look at, say for example, for one kind of a scenario, I have only 20% conversion. For another kind of a scenario, I have 40% conversion that is happening. Very clearly, using this A/B testing, I'm going to adapt the best strategy out of the strategies that are available to me. If you have even multiple, if not, A/B testing is basically when you have two options. If you have multiple options, you can go for multivariate testing. That's also possible. And finally, you have the scenario related to multi-channel attribution. Say, for example, I have first seen your ad in a newspaper, let us say. Then I have seen your hoarding. Then I have seen your showroom. Then finally, I walked into one of the showrooms. Now, similar to that, when you're talking about your online kind of a scenario, right? You have an affiliate. From the affiliate, you have seen, but you are not. You got some interest, but you have not done any transaction. Then you have gone through, let's say, organic search results. Remarketing is where once you have gone through a particular product or service, whenever you visit other websites, they keep on, say, for example, I go through certain furniture. And after that, whenever I visit web pages, in the ad columns, I keep on looking at furniture for the next 1 week or so. This is what is called as remarketing that is there, right? Or is it any direct marketing that is there? So if you look at the scenario, it is like this. I have gone through Google Ads. I have also seen Google organic search results. I got some email, then I got some direct, direct mail from the direct, not even mail, the direct marketing contact from the company using its website that is there. So these are multiple channels that are there. The question here is, how do you give weightage to each of this? Sometimes the argument is that there is no universal scenario here, but then when you look at the first scenario here, you can see that whichever is the first one has been given 100% credit for the final sale that is happening. All others are zero because the first one is given. Now the other argument is that no, I'll give the last one. I will give the last one in this in the line, the complete the complete credit. But then if you finally look at the other scenarios that are there, by this time you could have seen that you can give the last but one before you come to your decision, or the other way is you give everyone equal, 25, 25, 25, and 25. Everything is given equal weightage, that is linear attribution that is there. Time decay, as time is passing, what we are saying here is the older ones are given the lesser, credit, and the recent one are given more credit. And sometimes you can also see this. The other possible scenario is the first one is given around 40%. Second one is the last one is also given around 40%. The middle ones are given 10% and 10%. So here there is no uniformity when you are looking at how to give the credit to each of these channels. So these are the various types of rules that are followed by different companies based on different types of contexts that are there. Here you have another scenario where you give 30 to the first two and 30 to the last one, but whereas you are giving 10% to the last but one. Now, hoping that I did not waste your time, we have added some value during our interaction. What we can conclude is that if you look at the future of marketing, whatever you are calling it as digital marketing or electronic marketing, whatever is the scenario that is there, this is one scenario that will allow marketers to reach larger target audience or to increase your coverage to a larger areas, because geographically you may not be present, but still you can communicate. especially certain services where you need to only deliver online, in the sense there is no physical product, right? Like financial services, right? You can deliver it. You can sit at your home and then get the bank activity done online also. So what happens here is the future of marketing is related to digital marketing. There's no doubt about it, because our generation, we have seen wired telephones present in some homes, and we used to go to a coin box. That used to be a great moment for us in terms of using this telephone services. Then slowly people started having wired telephones in all the homes. Then came the scenario where a few of us started having mobile phones, because mobile phone, if you look at the late 90s, was more like a status symbol. Then everyone started having access to the mobile phones. Then we had mobile phones, the keyed ones, the button pressed ones, with some kind of a internet access. Then we had smartphones, of course. Today the kind of scenario that is there with the Android versus iPhone kind of scenario. Of course, in between, BlackBerry was there. So if you look at the coming generations that are there, they're going to be even more dependent on the electronic channels. In fact, down the line 10 years, we don't even have an idea in terms of how the scenario might be changing also. So what is happening here is, it is not going to be a question of whether to go for digital marketing or not, but digital marketing by default. See, it is like this. At one point of time, there was a question as to whether you need to have a website or not. Today, my presence, if it is not there on a website, that's the end of it. Because if someone wants to know about University of Hyderabad, or someone wants to know about ASBM, I need not talk to someone, or I need not travel all the way up to Bhubaneswar, or you need not come up to Hyderabad. The first thing that you can do is you can go to the website. And before others start speaking about me, at least I can create my own content. So this is going to give a lot of opportunity for marketing, especially for digital marketing. So thank you for your time. Now the time is, or the forum is open for questions.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a
I
wonderful
have a
session.
query. Hello?
Yeah, please.
Yes, Ankit.
Yes, sir. So my question was, does web designing affect the search engine optimization in any way?
Definitely. It
So
affects.
can you explain how, sir?
See, actually, sir has given me one session on search engine optimization. I'll come to that. See, one is when you're talking about your content that is there, right? What kind of content you are having, what kind of certification you are having, right? What is the overall rating that is given for your website? Everything is going to have an impact on the way maybe Google or any other search engine is going to estimate what you call quality of your website. So in the design, you need to take a lot of aspects. How many links you are keeping, how many backlinks you are having. You really look at the scenario, all these are going to have an impact in terms of Google assessing to what extent the quality of your website is there. That's why I'm saying when Google is giving results, it takes into consideration two things. One is the relevance of the term and your website. And second one is the quality of your website. So that way you can very clearly say that it is going to have an impact.
Thank you, sir.
So what do you mean by cookies? Are used very regularly?
So unfortunately for us, what happened here is, if you talk about eating cookies, right? Eating cookies are the ones especially that are filled with something, right? You call it as a cookie. Now, why they use this term called as cookie is that whenever you, let's say, visit a site, these days they say that you accept our cookie policy or something, they say.
Yes.
They'll put a small program embedded on your browser, so that what happens is this particular program keeps on tracking and keeps on sending information back to the service provider, right? So that what happens is they will be collecting data related to me, not only in terms of based on the cookie policy, not only in terms of let's say I have visited your site for the first time, I'm coming for the second time. Because of the cookie, they will very clearly know that you are coming for the second time. Sometimes they will also look at, sometimes going beyond this and looking at after visiting my website, which is the next website that you are visiting. Okay, these kinds of scenarios, they build it into the cookie. This is because they said that it is like what you call a cookie containing something. They'll land this cookie on your web browser. These days, earlier, without our knowledge, they used to do it. These days, because of the what you call GDPR, Global Data Protection Rights, they are saying that you please mention to your customers to accept the cookie policy. So if you accept the cookie policy only, they will give the access to the website.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You can please free to please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. Or you can write down if you have any queries.
Sir, hello sir.
Rajesh.
Yes.
Sir, there is one term LinkedIn marketing. LinkedIn marketing.
Right, right.
Is this related to digital marketing?
Yeah. If you go to this site called as LinkedIn,
Yes.
LinkedIn will charge you and allow you to promote your products and services, especially mostly related to the services, not directly products that are there, but it will charge you and allow you to advertise on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I believe you are aware of LinkedIn?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Sir, who are the customers using LinkedIn marketing?
Okay. In most of the scenarios, if you look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn is promoted as a professional website, right? So especially if you look at most of us who get, say for example, I'll give a small example. We launched a program called as MBA in Business Analytics in 2017. So what happened is, I know that most of the students are present on LinkedIn also, apart from other sites. So I wanted to keep my poster. So what LinkedIn has given as an option is, if you are looking at these kinds of parameters, how many people you would like to be, you would expect to be shown this particular poster, okay, and what are the regions you would like to cover, it will say that you pay me so much and your campaign will be executed in the next 1 week or 14 days. I can also choose that particular time. So here, the thing is, what you would like to promote, you should be clear about it. Sometimes, let's say I want to do some recruitment. Even recruitment can be done through LinkedIn. So if I want to attract good quality applicants, what I can do is, rather than just merely posting a post in LinkedIn, I can even create an ad on LinkedIn also. You try it. You please log into your LinkedIn and see how you can create an ad. It will give you options. You need not fill the form or other things, but you can just look at how this is done. Please also experiment this with Facebook. Facebook is even more beautiful when it gives the what you call interface to you in terms of it even tells you what is the age group of visitors you would like to interact with.
No, there I cannot access it on the screen. Not at all.
Pardon?
No, I'm connected from laptop. No,
Okay.
I'm going to the chat thing. So
Sorry, it's a different interaction. Okay, sir. Rajesh, is it okay? Do you have any other queries?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Any other participants would like to? Prachi?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I have a very small query that if we are going incognito and if we try to just protect ourselves from being tracked, or say if you're blocking out all the cookies, then sir, how will the websites get the information if they want to do it for the advertisement purpose? Like, will they be on the disadvantaged sites, or is there any other secondary ways which they have invented to do so?
No. Actually, thing is, if you want to go incognito, still your web browser knows that you have gone incognito.
Yes, sir.
Right? You really see that's why today the worry is how much this fellow knows about me. No one knows, right? But only thing is, if you are going incognito, say for example, in which circumstances your entire browsing will you go incognito, or would you like to also come to the regular mode? See, basically, how much percentage of your browsing is incognito, or how much percentage of my users are incognito, they will have an idea, that is it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other queries? Sir, I have a personal query because from the last 2 years, we are much familiar with this digitalization because of thanks to post-pandemic, mostly pandemic, we have no more options. But sir, when it comes to authenticity, you see nowadays every youth, everyone giving their contents, giving their views. It may be through video, through blogs. So how to measure the authenticity? So we doubt the authenticity of each and everything. No doubt it is very much free to access with communication, but we doubt the authenticity. How to quantify it? How to measure it?
So it is basically evolving, sir, in the sense that I will just give you one example. If you look at, let's say, WhatsApp, lots of fake messages were being propagated through WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So initially, they could not do anything about it. But if you look at today's scenario, what they have done is, the moment something is getting replicated multiple times, they're keeping track of it.
Yeah.
And they are very clearly giving a warning to the user saying that this particular content cannot be shared with more than 5 users or so, or this content is being shared multiple times.
Yes.
When you're looking at this. So what happens is, to a certain extent here, the pattern recognition can be actually, it can be recognized or identified with machine learning.
Yeah.
What they're doing is, you have a repository. Initial phases, it is very difficult. But what are the patterns in which you have this fake messages coming, right? Or what are the patterns in which maybe authenticity is a question, right? In fact, to be very frank, if you look at a bank transaction also, what is the guarantee that you are only doing your bank transaction, not the other person, right? So here what they have done is, based on the data they have already gathered, they have started deploying machine learning for this, right? To very fair amount of success is there in terms of identifying which are the areas where this can be detected. That is happening now, sir.
Yeah. So it takes time, but it is very good with WhatsApp that we have seen. Now people are aware of it. Now the admin is taking responsibility of what are the content it is
Absolutely.
given. Even in the case of YouTube and Instagram also, we find that there is some restrictions. So hope the other things also will be taken care.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Because if you really look at these tech giants that are there, the kind of work they are doing, people say that not even governments are doing. The kind of advances they are having. In fact, in a way, these corporations, what do they do with this data? Finally, we don't know. Right now, we are believing them.
Yeah.
Right. So interestingly, as I said today, I was going through an article where they're talking about what happens to the data of a person. Let's say I'm having a Gmail account. What happens after the death of the person?
Yeah.
There they have given options. Either I can give options in terms of you can give it to this particular email ID, or you delete it completely. Right, to that certain extent, because that fellow is sitting on the data.
Yes, somebody is using the data also in some other means, like in India, voter identity card and Aadhaar card.
Yeah. You could have seen even for Aadhaar card, the other day there was news saying that now this masking of the card can be done. Okay, you can use it for identity, but at the same time, if it is in the public domain, right, you can mask only the last 4 numbers will be there.
Last 4 numbers. Yes. Okay. Any other queries? Prachi, your raising hand.
Yes, sir. Sir, another question just flashed my mind, so I just wanted to ask. Sir, those who are the centers of digital marketing, for example, sir, Amazon or the Flipkart, when we take into consideration, so and many other similar e-commerce websites or the same who are selling up, so they are being the hub of income, or I should say wealth accumulation, as compared to the traditional entrepreneurs or the marketers. So what are your views that in the near future, will there be more such e-commerce website that will be just grasping or accumulating wealth, deepening the gap between those traditional marketers who will go into the loss, and eventually their existence will come into an end? So sir, I would like to just get your attention on that.
Okay. One thing is, if you are talking about the domination of these companies, let us say, you look at the evolution. See, IBM was the company that dominated the IT world for a long period of time, which got later challenged by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Then Microsoft got challenged by Google. Now, when it came to social media, Facebook was the leader, is the leader. because it owns both your WhatsApp as well as Facebook. So this progression continues. It is very complex. Now, what happens to the other forms of communication? Let us say I'm taking a parallel thing with now you look at newspapers. Do you read a newspaper online or offline?
So offline, but during the pandemic, we were forced to shift to online versions.
No, don't worry about that.
Yes.
What I'm trying to tell you here is, one is the kind of change that is coming very clearly means that
Yes.
there will be certain kinds of models that will sustain. There will be certain kinds of models that will disrupt. Disrupt in the sense, let me tell you, do you know what is a telegram? Probably you don't know. Your sir knows what is a telegram.
Yeah.
We know.
Sir, I've heard about it.
Not the telegram app.
No, sir. Sir, the original one, sir, I've heard it in the communication.
You talk to your
means.
parents, they'll tell you. Telegram coming means, a telegram arrived means it is like a heart attack. Either it is a very good news or a very bad news. Right? Now what happened? Officially, telegram services have been closed. Similarly, if you look at this kind of a scenario that is there, right? It is like once your movie theaters have come, the previous ways of entertainment, like plays and other things, they would definitely, even though some people might be saying now, to a larger extent, they have gone extinct. Similarly, when you're talking about the business, it is not about a single company. It is about the kind of the business model that we are talking about. So when you're talking about the business models that are emerging, very clearly the superior business models which add more value, they are going to replace the existing business models. That's it. And remember, everything that is done, in fact, that's what people thought. Initially, when these websites came, many people jumped and started many different businesses and lost all the money also. Not every business model is also going to run. So that's where what we are saying is change is imminent, right? But at the same time, say for example, your concern is if I am there as a part of the small traders, what is going to happen? Now you can look at what is a way to sustain. What is the way to sustain? The best example I can give you is like you look at the brand called as Amul. In spite of the presence of foreign multinational companies, Amul as a cooperative is a successful initiative, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, Ankit.
Yes, sir. My question was that, sir, is there any limitations to the digital marketing platform? If there is, then how to overcome such limitations or drawbacks, sir?
Very clearly, the first thing is you look at, say, for example, I'm looking at email. Email clutter is there. Will you read all the emails that are sent by companies? No. See, when I look at my inbox, I'll get multiple emails. And fortunately, most of these emails, Google will segregate them as the ones that need to come to the inbox, the ones that go to social media, the ones that are called as promotions, and the ones that go into spam, right? So very clearly, just because a tool is at my reach, still concerns are related to the fundamentals. What are your segments? Say, for example, for you, if you get a retirement plan, you're getting a, let's say, a bank, ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank is sending you a retirement plan. You will simply delete it, but a person like me will at least go through it once. So what happens here? The segment is more important. Let's say I'm in my late 40s, slowly I'll be getting into 50s. I'll be thinking about what after I retire, what happens? You will not be thinking about it. But say, for example, if you're talking about something in terms of some new opportunities that are coming up or new profiles of jobs for which training is available, you might be more interested towards it. You're getting me? So that is the only solution. And similarly, at some point of time, if you look at, let us say you're looking at, as of now, digital media is there, but language mostly used is English. It is not, I'm saying that it is not there in other languages also. That is another scenario that is there. Content, how do you customize the content? See, when it comes to the creation of content, it is not easy. See, I can create an ad or I can send an email, but how do I create the content that will basically ensure that the reader sticks to me? That is still a challenge. It is not going to be that easy. That is there. How many conversions? Say, for example, people are coming to my website saying hi and going. No one is actually buying anything. How to improve my conversions? Just because I have this, it doesn't mean that it's a success. They are needed. But after that, there are going to be other challenges that are there. Similarly, the kind of technological challenges that might be there, right? These are all teething problems that could be there at the launch and other points of time. So if you see, most of the limitations are there. The only way of overcoming them is asking these fundamental questions again back, because whatever you have learned as a part of your fundamentals of marketing, that doesn't change with the digital marketing, right? Your segments, your targeting, your positioning. Only thing is the medium is changing. Therefore, you need to be updated. Tomorrow, if I say that, oh, I don't know how to put my ad on social media, means I'm gone, or I don't want to have a website, I'm gone. But having said that, the fundamentals remain the same.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
So it's over. I think any more questions? Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much from on behalf of the SBM University. I convey my heartiest regards and thankful to you, and you have responded and accepted our invitation. You have another session also on search engine optimization on 22nd. Again, you will join us with sir. It is very glad, and you clarified and given great introduction on digital marketing. Tomorrow, as the students are asking about LinkedIn, tomorrow we have a session on LinkedIn and how to connect LinkedIn with employment and all. So we have the session. Thank you very much. Once again, you please join us on 20 seconds.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, students, for your participation. And we'll send the links today for tomorrow's session. We have a session on LinkedIn, and the full schedule of this program and who are the eminent resource persons who are taking the classes will be given in your mail ID today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Please fill the feedback form, and you can give if you need any kind of improvement, you can suggest in the feedback form. We'll take care of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all of you. Thank you all, professors, students, and all participants.